Good morning, runners and guests. How are we feeling? I'm going to give that a second pass. How are we feeling? Okay. After such an amazing year, the best is yet to come this Sunday, November 5th, when over 1,000 Fred's Team runners will take on the 2023 TCS New York City Marathon. My name is Laura Tulin, and I work for Fred's Team here at MSK, along with my colleagues Julia, Matt, and Ashley. We are so excited to have you here to celebrate, to hear inspiring stories, and to hear how you are making a difference. Thanks, JJ. We're also so happy to be here together at Memorial Sloan Kettering's Mortimer Zuckerman Research Center, one of the buildings where researchers are striving day in and day out to drive progress against cancer. Fred's Team is having an amazing season. To date, our 2023 participants have raised over $7.2 million for cancer research. This is all because of everyone in this room and the entire Fred's Team community. It's because of the donors for their generous support. It's because of your friends and family who have been there to support you every step of the way. And lastly, and most importantly, it's because of you, the runners, who have logged countless miles and have worked so hard to raise as much money as possible to fuel breakthroughs here at MSK. As we approach race day, there's so much momentum, and we ask that you continue to push for donations. For our runners, follow up with any friends and family who have not yet donated. Every single donation makes a difference, and when we work together, this team is capable of great things. Today, you're going to hear from two of your teammates, an MSK doctor, and one of your Fred's Team coaches. To kick off our speaking program, I'm so proud to introduce you to an unstoppable duo, MSK nurse Dana Ng and cancer survivor Alyssa Bingham. I've had the pleasure of working very closely with them throughout the season, and as I'm sure you'll hear over the course of the next few minutes, their bond is very special. So please join me in giving a warm Fred's Team welcome to Dana.
Can you guys hear me? Yes, okay. Hi everyone, my name is Dana Ng and I am a breast cancer chemotherapy nurse here at MSK. This is my second year of running the marathon with Fred's Team, and it is such an honor to represent both Fred's Team and the hospital. Being a nurse and working in the role that I do is so meaningful to me for so many reasons, but one of the most important is being that my mom is a breast cancer survivor. So when I was only 4 years old, she was diagnosed, and I was young, so I didn't really understand everything that was going on, but I knew that she was sick, and more importantly, I saw how she was sick. 25 years later now, I am so grateful for her. I am grateful for her life and for her team that really did everything they could to make sure that I would get to grow up with a mom. So it really has come full circle that I get to work in the role that I do at this hospital, and it is kind of like a gift of me giving back for my mom, and it's just so rewarding to take care of patients every day who are going through that same exact journey. Funny enough, my brother actually works in oncology too. He works in this building. He's a cancer researcher. He's going to be coming later. He is brilliant, and I love to brag about him. He researches a rare blood cancer called multiple myeloma, and it's actually what I'm fundraising for this year. We were both young when our mom had cancer, but clearly a silver lining is that we were impacted by it in a positive way. So it's really cool for me to work on the clinical side, and then through him, I understand the impact of research and why it is so necessary. All of that being said, this is why running with Fred's Team is so important to me. People praise us nurses and doctors for saving their lives, and that's all important, but we forget about the scientists and the people, like Laura said, behind the scenes who are working so hard for a positive result in hopes that maybe one day they'll save a life. So I know that they do really complex work, and it's impossible to keep doing without the funding and without us. Sorry. I think many of you can relate to this, but it is so much more than just running. I know I'm here running for patients, for survivors, for those currently battling cancer, for those that we've lost too soon. And during training, there were so many times when I wanted to sleep in. I'd rather be brunching with my friends. I know none of us wanted to get up and do long runs on a Saturday morning, but I kept telling myself that if I could just run a ton of miles and raise a ton of money to even save one life, it would all be worth it. And reminding myself that someone going through cancer would switch places with me in a heartbeat. So that's what got me through this training and through the last marathon, especially when I got to mile 17. I was reminded of why I do this and who I'm doing it for. So when you get here tomorrow, soak it all in. Don't forget to smile for the cameras. Cry if you need to. I probably will be. And just remember your purpose behind all of this. It's so much more than just running 26 miles. I think when I ran 2 years ago, it was special, but this year is going to be even better. In 2021, I was taking care of a patient who quickly became a good friend to me. She was going through the absolute worst time of her life, being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But through it, she was joyful, she was encouraging me, and finding gratitude in all of the little moments. And it's patients like her who inspire me every day and show me what it's like to do hard things, which a marathon is nothing because it's hard, but cancer is harder. After the race, once I got back to work, she told me that it was a dream of hers to run a marathon someday. And in my head, I was thinking, she may not survive this, but I told her, listen, if you ever feel well enough, we will run one together. So here she is, 2 years later. She is cancer-free without any evidence of disease. And here we are running the New York City Marathon together. And with that being said, I would love to introduce to you my dear friend, Alyssa Bingham.
Before Dana sits down, I just want to honor her. She has just been one of the biggest answered prayers in my life. And like she said, when I was going through one of the hardest seasons of my life, I was like, God, I think I need one person that I can like kind of cling to as a nurse. And she came in my second week of treatment. And I was like, who is this light? And you just had hope and joy. She carries this incredible capacity and excellence in all that she does. Being a patient and being her friend, I see that in both environments of her life. I'm like, I don't know how she does it all, but she somehow does. And so I just thank you for the impact that you've had on my life, because it will forever leave an imprint. And on everybody else who knows you. You're such a gift, and I just love you so much. Love you. Woo. Wow. Happy Saturday, guys. Wow. I'm so thankful to be here, and just want to thank all of you for coming and taking time. It means so much to not only me, but everybody else who's helped put on all of the pre-race things and even tomorrow. So I just am so grateful to be here, and I just feel like I'm in a room of heroes, and so I'm very moved to even be a part of this. I wanted to next honor any medical staff in the room and just say that I'm so, so grateful for your dedication to what you do. And it's interesting, the term behind the scenes, because it's so on the front line. Everything that you're doing is so felt and present in my life and other people's lives. So I just thank you and I honor you. So if we can clap for the medicals team. I'd next like to honor the donors and in this room and family and friends. Your support is what makes all of this happen. It's what keeps everything going. It's what keeps us going as runners. And so I just honor all of you that are in the room. I want to honor the runners who are running tomorrow. We have worked really hard to be at this moment. This will be my first marathon. And I met a woman this morning who I think it's 41 or 42 this year will be. And I just think that's so amazing. And so it's a reminder that we can do really hard things and our bodies are resilient. So I'm just so encouraged by all of you, and even just being in the mingling before all of this, just the joy and all the stories. It's like I wish I could talk to everybody because I know there's so many stories behind everyone's reason for running tomorrow. And next I want to honor God. Because this weekend for me was a dream that I wrote down, actually in this journal, which is why I was like, I'm going to write it in this. I wrote down when I was going through treatment. Like Dana said, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2021. And the first time I was finding out I had cancer was also finding out I had stage 4. So it was a pretty hefty coming to terms with things. And so during treatment, I wrote down, I was like, God, one of my dreams would be to do a marathon. And if you'd let me do that, I'd really love to. And so this has felt like such a dream come true. And to have it alongside of a nurse who truly has helped save my life, like, just feels so full circle. And I have friends here who have been by me and family who have been by me in this moment. So it's very special that it's just kind of all coming together. But during that season of being diagnosed, and if you're in the room and you've gone through any health crisis, or maybe you've been through a difficult season, you know that when you're in that place, it's like, it just feels like hope has been hijacked and you're in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, you lose your vision and you can lose hope. And during then I was sorry, I'm losing my words. I was receiving weekly chemotherapy treatment. And so every week for 6 months, I would go to the hospital. And Dana was usually my nurse every week or every other week. I'd always request her. She was my favorite. And she never missed a vein, which is kind of amazing. And if you are in the medical world, you know, it's a big deal. But little by little, and it was like winter. So winter chemo, cold capping, it just was not ideal. But little by little, hope started to come through. And it came through people surrounding me. I had friends who would drop off smoothies or drop off my favorite flower. I had people texting me, people flying in to be present with me at treatments, people decorating my apartment, just sweet things that you don't know how to ask for when you're in that part of your life in survival mode. And that's when the light started to come back and the hope started to come back. Because I had days where I was like, okay, this might be like the end of my story. It's not what I thought, but it could be, so I'm just gonna enjoy. But then like halfway through, I like got this fight back and I was like, I'm gonna live and I'm gonna do the things that I really wanna do. And so I know that this race is just the start of many things that I'll do. But it holds such a weight. And so for other people in this room, I just honor whatever those dreams are that you are hoping to do. I'm believing with you that you will see them. But through that hope, I started to see again, and I started to gain vision. Within 3 months of treatment, and the incredible medical team around me, prayers that were going forward, I had my PET scan, and it came back clear, and I was NED, no evidence of disease. And the cancer had spread to my bones, liver, and lungs at that point. So you can imagine the joy that I felt after getting that scan. I finished out my last 3 months of treatment after that scan. And Dana had become a dear friend at this point, and she would say to me, when you're better, we're going to run a marathon. And I was like, okay, that's really cute, but like, I'm not sure. Because I wanted to so bad, but I just didn't know. And I'm someone that I'm not going to say something unless I can fully do it or fully show up. So I was like, I'm not going to say yes until I really know. But 2 years later, here I am. Tomorrow I'll be running my first marathon alongside all of you. I've learned so much these past couple of years. I've learned you can experience the deepest pain on earth, and yet somehow there's still life and good things to be experienced. When Laura asked me to share, I just thought, what do I share to a room full of heroes? And the first thing that came to my mind was just thank you and keep going. In the same way that a runner trains for a race, there's a dedication, a discipline, and a sacrifice. An ultimate yes is given to the goal ahead. And in a race, there are many parts. There's the preparation, the laying out the barricades for our course tomorrow, the training for the runners, the support of family and friends, and the recovery, all of which requires the support of one another. We need each other. Maybe you haven't had cancer, but maybe you've been deeply disappointed or experienced a devastating season. I want to remind you that light will come again. And if you don't quit, you'll win. When we give an ultimate yes to the passion, convictions, and calling on our life, it makes the world a better place and it makes the people around us better. How you show up matters and makes a lasting impact. The seeds of hope that you sow into someone else someday could give them hope to heal, believe again, and maybe even run a marathon. Tomorrow is a celebration of life and hope. It's our reward for the training, months of dedication and sacrifice. Let every mile be a reminder that you are incredibly alive at this moment for a purpose. Thank you, and let's do this.
Thank you, Dana and Alyssa, so much. Incredibly hard act to follow, and I will not. I will do my best, though. We're so excited to cheer both of you on tomorrow, cheer you across that finish line. We're incredibly proud of both of you, and you both exemplify the power of this community and MSK. So thank you again for running with us. Let's give them one more round. So good morning, everyone. My name's Matt. I also work with Laura, Julia, and Ashley here at Fred's team and MSK. I want to thank you again for joining us today. We're so excited to be back in person over the last few years. Over the past month, we've been sharing some great stories on our social media accounts from our 2023 TCS New York City Marathon runners. Some are here with us today. The series is called Dedicate Your Miles, and many of you in this room, if not all, run for a loved one, a spouse, sibling, child, relative, or friend. You may run because you have been personally impacted by cancer, and this is your way of fighting back. You may be running to carry on a legacy. You may be running to carry on a legacy of a Fred's team runner that is unable to run alongside you anymore. But they will be there in spirit with you tomorrow, every step of the race. So we'll be continuing to share these stories over the next few weeks. And so if anyone needs if you haven't got enough inspiration from Dana and Alyssa, if you need a touch more tonight before the race tomorrow, I'd invite you to please check out our social media accounts and read some of these stories. And we appreciate everyone for adding more meaning to your miles. So before we bring up our next speaker, I just wanted to acknowledge some individuals and teams for their incredible fundraising efforts this year. So for our top teams, I'm actually going to mention one other team after Mikey's team, but in our sixth place spot, we have Team Mark, who has raised an incredible $148,000 to date. At number 5, we do have Mikey's team that has raised over $196,000 to date. Our number 4 team is Smash Cancer 6, which Dana and Alyssa are a part of. They've raised over $200,000. Team Roar, the Scarlet Fund, an incredible group that supports pediatric research at MSK Kids. They've raised over $208,000. Team X-Onc, which is with Dr. Lee Jones in our exercise research department. Him and his team of researchers and one of his patients who's got his family involved this year, they've raised over $268,000. And then I think a few Bloomberg employees are here, so you can tell Ken that I said this, but if Ken Cooper was here right now, the captain of Bloomberg 1000, he would say, don't sleep on that 493 number because they're going for 500. But the Bloomberg 1000 team has raised over $493,000 this year. And so we also have some top participants, some individual fundraisers. Our number 5 top fundraiser is Sam Salati, who's raised over $45,000. Sydney Buchanan has raised over $57,000. Mike Kleffer has raised over $95,000. And another one of our superstars is here with us today. Kelly Cannon has raised over $122,000 for research. And once again, Ken Cooper leading the way. He's raised over $316,000 here at MSK. So I just mentioned all of those runners and teams, but we also just want to thank every runner, every team for every dollar you raise. Do not view this slide as they are more important than anyone. Every dollar pushes us to our goal and helps the researchers move the needle forward. So thank you to everyone. Just give yourselves a round of applause. I'm now honored to introduce Dr. Andrew Kung, who will speak about your impact at MSK. Dr. Kung is the chair of the Department of Pediatrics here at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and the Lila Atkinson Wallace Chair for Pediatric Research. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Andrew Kung.
Well, thank you very much. It's really my privilege to be able to stand before you and really thank you on behalf of the entire institution for supporting the tremendous work that's being done both on the research side as well as the clinical side within MSK. Now, I have the honor, really, of leading some 700 different people within Memorial Sloan Kettering who all come together to care for the youngest, and in some instances, the most vulnerable cancer patients that we have the privilege of caring for. Pediatric cancer is thankfully rare, doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, you really want to be cared for at a specialized center that has the volume, that has the expertise to really bring the best treatment options and to do the research to continue to improve outcomes for patients in the future. Now, here at MSK, we happen to be the largest pediatric cancer program in the nation. And much of what we do here depends entirely on support by people like yourself. I wanted to come before you and tell you a little bit what it actually means to support research, and specifically pediatric research. So one manifestation of research is actually clinical trials. This is how we bring the latest and most promising new agents to patients in the clinic. Now, the funding of clinical trials in pediatrics is grossly underfunded because industry, the people who make the drugs, generally are not willing to support clinical trials in pediatrics because the rarity of the disease makes it such that the market is so small. And so for us to be able to bring these innovative clinical trials to these young patients, we rely entirely on philanthropic funding. And so you are really critical in what you do. The money that you raise that we just talked about is critical in terms of being able to bring these new treatments to our youngest patients. Now, some of you will have heard the story of Rihanna, a child that benefited from such a clinical trial. And I think that there's a very salient point about how deep the impact is of supporting clinical trials that's worth repeating her story. So we met Rihanna when she was just 1 year old. She was a beautiful baby girl who unfortunately had a grapefruit-sized tumor on her arm. And despite chemotherapy, the tumor did not shrink. And so she was facing an amputation of her arm as the only possibility of curing her of her disease. But because she was referred to us and because we actually had at that point a clinical trial open of a new drug that potentially could treat her tumor, she actually went on this clinical trial and the tumor started to shrink, and it kept shrinking to the point that it entirely disappeared. And she was able to actually undergo a very minor surgery to remove what ultimately was proven to be just a scar from this tumor that had shrunk away on this new clinical trial. And today, she's a happy, beautiful 7-year-old girl with 10 fingers, 10 toes, and entirely normal by every view. And that was made possible because of a clinical trial available here, because of your support. But importantly, that clinical trial actually went on to prove that this is a drug that actually has benefit for this type of tumor, and that drug is now approved and now available for any child, anywhere with this type of tumor. And so this is an example of how your support of the clinical trial work that we do here at MSK has the potential to impact patients, not just here at MSK, but throughout the world. And so in a very real way, you know, even though I started by thanking you on behalf of the patients here at MSK, I would say the thanks should really be coming from patients everywhere with cancer who have benefited from the kind of support that you provide. Now, the other manifestation of research is doing those studies that bring the latest science to try to make discoveries that might impact patients in the future. Well, one of the things that's very special about the kind of research that happens here at MSK is that the research done here doesn't necessarily have that 10-year lag or 5-year lag before it actually touches a patient in the clinic. And in many cases, the research that we do here can actually touch a patient in the clinic today. And an example of that is a patient we had the privilege of caring for, James, who came to us at the age of 14 with a very rare tumor called adrenocortical carcinoma. Now, this is a tumor that there are only about a handful of diagnoses every year in New York, but he ended up coming here because the local institution basically tried everything that they could, but there was no response in his tumor. And so he came here, and we put him on another regimen of high-dose chemotherapy. But despite the highest doses of chemotherapy that could be tolerated, the tumor continued to grow and in fact spread in his body. Now, it turns out that when James came to us, we also took a portion of his tumor and actually brought it to my lab, and we actually started trying to understand what caused this tumor, and on the basis of our analysis, is there anything that we might be able to do about it? And so we use some technologies that really aren't going to be available to the community cancer patient for probably another 10 years. And we analyzed this tumor, and in our analysis of the tumor, we saw a signal. And we saw a signal that told us that maybe this is a tumor that would be responsive to immunotherapy. Maybe we could train his immune system to fight this tumor. And so at the point that he had failed all other possible conventional treatments, and anywhere else, he would have been directed to palliative care, to hospice. We said, well, wait a minute, we have this result from the lab. Maybe we should try immunotherapy. He got put on a combination of 2 immune therapies, and after 1 cycle of treatment, his tumor started shrinking. After 2 cycles, it shrank more, and after 3 cycles, the tumor disappeared completely. Now, unfortunately, after 3 cycles, the immune therapies also caused a sort of heightened immune reaction, and so we had to stop treatment. But the tumor never grew back. Now, 5 years later, after stopping all therapy, he is cured of his disease, as near as we can tell. And so when you hear about research, when you think about research, know that the research that you support here at MSK, it's not just about the patient in the future, but it is impacting lives in the clinic today. And so as a pediatric oncologist, I can't thank you enough for making it possible to do all the things that we do within the department. And we've heard words like hero thrown around, and really, you are our heroes, because we simply could not do what we do for the patient in the clinic. We couldn't do the research that we do but for your support. I, as a pediatric oncologist, draw tremendous inspiration from the patients that I have the privilege of caring for. Now, tomorrow, by mile 17, you will be in need of some inspiration. So look up, and you will see our pediatric patients in the grandstands cheering you on. They understand how important it is that you run on their behalf. And please, I ask, draw inspiration from them being there. You are really a highlight. Being able to see you run on their behalf is a highlight for them, and I hope that they, in turn, are inspiration as you run tomorrow. So with that, let me end in the way that I started. Thank you for everything that you do for us at MSK.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kung, for your inspiring words and also for being a part of this special celebration. I think I can take liberty here and say I speak for everyone in this room and in our community when I say that we're proud to stand with you in this fight against cancer and to continue to support life-saving research at MSK. Our final speaker today is someone who has been with our program for just a few years, since 1998. He has helped thousands of runners cross finish lines for 24 years, and after this Sunday, he's going to add just another 1,000 to the list. He's helped grow the Fred's Team program that was once just him to now include 4 coaches, 2 assistant coaches, and 7 mentors that support our runners each year. He and his fellow coaches, Tom, David, and Marcy, offer guidance to help runners successfully complete their races, and most importantly, have given so many runners the confidence to say, I can do this, as they begin their training journey and lace up their shoes on race day. So please help me in welcoming head coach Jeff Rochford.
Thank you, everyone. I can't tell you how proud I am of the runners, the hard work you've put in to get here for tomorrow. You've put in tremendous amount of miles, and I can't tell you how proud I am of the funds you've raised, and you've heard real concrete reasons what the funds you've raised are doing here at Memorial Sloan Kettering. As you've heard, you're going to be out there with 1,000 teammates tomorrow, over 1,000 teammates. Fred's team is very often referred to as a family, and it could not be a truer explanation of this team. The explanation goes, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. Well, you've chosen an amazing family. I just can't tell you how proud I am of this family. And so when you're out there tomorrow, I want you to encourage each other. There'll be a sea of orange out there, and I want you to encourage each other. I'll tell you a story. One year, the last couple of miles, I was struggling a bit. All of a sudden, this hand came on my back and patted me on the back and said, "You got this." And I can't tell you what that little gesture did to power me to the finish line. That runner, by the way, was Aubrey Barr, the namesake of the Aubrey Fund. So not only is she the namesake of the Aubrey Fund, she's an amazing person and an amazing runner. Tomorrow's going to be her 41st marathon with Fred's team. Just an amazing feat. So be like Aubrey tomorrow. Encourage your fellow runners. It goes a long, long way. Now I'm going to give you two of the most important tips I can give you for tomorrow. Number one, start slow. I can't emphasize that enough. You will see runners zigzagging, trying to get around people. Number one, don't make the race longer than 26.2 miles. And I try to be positive up here, but for the people that zigzag, I have one word for them: dumb. Don't be those people. I always say this, those slow people in front of you are your best friend. Let them hold you back. Start slow, let the body warm up, and then your body will tell you when to adopt your race pace. I don't know if you've ever spectated at the marathon, you see people like this towards the end. Guarantee you they didn't start slow. So please start slow. The expression we use, start painfully slow. And then the other most important tip, and this was given to me by a guy who in his 50s would run a 2.5-hour marathon. Okay, walk the water stations. I can't tell you how important that is. And the reason being, when people are like, "Oh, I don't want to walk. Well, if you're going to run, grab that cup, spill half of it. And then trying not to choke, you'll maybe get a couple of sips in. And what's going to happen, you're going to get dehydrated. And those precious seconds you thought you saved by running through the water station, you're going to give that back at the end, trust me. So look to your right or left, depending on where the water station is. Make sure you're not going to collide with another runner. That happens a lot. Let them take out your competition. Get over, walk, don't saunter, walk, get your cup, drink, take off. Guarantee you'll finish stronger. Guarantee you. So now, with all that said, no matter how hard you train, there's going to be a time during the race you're like, why am I doing this? Well, marathoners usually have a single goal in mind, is to cross the finish line. Well, you have two, and your why could not be clearer. So usually with the team, I take a very gentle approach to coaching. But sometimes, one year I had a runner who just was complaining, and I know this runner very well, so I could get away with a little more. And just out of aspiration, I was like, just suck it up and run. That runner has never let me live that down. So when you're tired tomorrow, suck it up and run. I want you to run for your teammates who are out there still battling their fight against cancer. I want you to run for the ones that we've lost. I want you to run to truly imagine a world without cancer. So have a great race. I'll be there at the start with you, and I'll be waiting with a smile at the finish. And again, thank you for all you do.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. We know you'll be out there cheering them on all day and are thrilled that you'll be there with us. Also, I just want to take a moment to thank each of our coaches and mentors. Sorry to put you on the spot, but if you are here today at the morning session, I'd please ask you to stand if you're one of our coaches and mentors. Don't worry, I'll find you. We obviously extend our thanks to our entire coaching staff, Jeff, David, Tom, Marcy, Yudi, Arthur, Abby, Ashley, Diana, Edie, John, Kate, and Terry. Nearly all of them will be running alongside you tomorrow, and the ones that aren't will be at the finish line waiting for you. So we're excited to have all of them out there with us on Sunday, and we're lucky that you are in our runner's corner all season long. So as a reminder, just for everyone, spectators mostly, we'll be covering all the excitement on race day on our social media accounts, so please use the hashtag FredsTeam on anything you share so we can repost your amazing photos and videos. Again, to all of our generous supporters, we can't thank you enough. Your donations go directly into MSK Labs, where researchers have expertise in more than 400 types of cancer and work every day to find new cures. So thank you again. Now, as we draw to a close, I want to take one moment here to just acknowledge a few groups that are in the room with us today. So I'd like to ask anyone in this room, runner or guest, that is a cancer survivor to please stand. And please don't be shy. We thank you for being here with us today. It means the world to not only us, but our entire community. We appreciate your incredible support, both on and off the pavement, and we thank you for your bravery and your courage, and also for inspiring this community. We are over the moon proud to have you as a part of the Fred's Team family. So thank you again for joining us. I'd now like to ask, again, anyone in this room, runner or guest, who is a caregiver, who joined us today, who has been there for a friend, a family member, colleague, to please stand if you are a caregiver. We thank each of you for being with us today, and we also thank you for your strength, support, and for the love that you provide to your loved ones as they go through treatment. Lastly, I think this will be the biggest group of the day. I'm going to ask all the runners that are running tomorrow to please stand. To each and every one of you, thank you for all that you do. Your hard work is making a real difference in the lives of people with cancer. We are grateful for your fundraising efforts this season. And as you lace up your shoes tomorrow, we hope each of you knows that we are your biggest fans and you inspire us every day, with every mile you run and every dollar you raise. We know the journey from mile 1 to race day can be a tough one, especially running in the summer heat in New York City. But we're so proud of what you have accomplished and what you will still accomplish tomorrow. As our namesake Fred LeBeau once said, there's a lot of satisfaction that comes with running a race. But the critical funds that you, our community, raises for Memorial Sloan Kettering makes a difference that goes far beyond the finish line. So we wish you all the best of luck. Obviously, you got this. We will see you in the morning, and thank you again for joining us today and running with Fred's team.